Call Hello Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone rule well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. Back at you with another quick one. Okay, so I don't know what to title this, but maybe it'll be like a running series, if the Spirit allows, on digging a little deeper into the different empires. I did a quick overview of Babylon and Persia, and I may have to go just even a little bit deeper into the Greek, right? So I'm just going to read the Hellenistic or the Hellenization of the Hellenistic period, right? So when you read in First Maccabees, first, you know what? Let's go there. So Alexander, as you know, had the four generals: Lysimaeus, Cassander, what's the other one? Ptolemy, and I need to get that too. We need that because I can't remember the fourth one, and I don't want to half-ass any of this. But I do want to give a brief overview and spark you to go and do your own reading. The more you know, right? The more you read, the more you can commit to your memory, if the Spirit allows. All right, so starting at the top, First Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chedum, had smitten Darius the king of the Persians and the Medes, and he reigned in his stead first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, so much that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. He gathered mighty strong hosts, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he yet lived. So Alexander reigned 12 years, then died. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. After his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay, so straight to the point here, because here's where the Hellenization kicks in. And there came out of them a wicked brute, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, or Antiochus, however you want to pronounce it, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. All right. In those days there went there out Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Right. And if you want to fast forward, you can talk about Jason the high priest. But let me get, before we continue on, who were the Diadochi? Okay. Fine. Okay, how about this? 4 generals. Oh, right here. Ptolemy, Cassander, Seleucus, and Antigones. Antigones. I'm not sure how you say their names. There you go, right there. Okay, so Ptolemy ruled in Egypt. So we're just going to, again, fast forward and cover briefly. So Ptolemy ruled in Egypt, right? And then the Seleucid Empire was covered by Syria. Was in Syria. And guess who was situated in between these two, I guess if you want to call them monarchies, was the at the time the province of Judea. Now, that was under control of the Greeks, and there were many wars that each the Ptolemaic Empire and the Seleucid Empire, who was run by Antiochus, I think there were 6 Syrian wars lasting anywhere from between maybe 274 to about 168 BC. So we were caught in the middle of all of that, right? And now we're going to move into the Hellenization. So now that the stage is set, and you can see that they were caught in between these wars, and just as in Babylon the Great a couple hundred years ago, they always used so I'm getting a little excited, but the French and the Spanish and the English were vying for power in the early settlements, and setting up Babylon the Great. And a lot of the French and a lot of the English and a lot of the Spanish were utilizing the natives, the Northern Kingdom, to help them fight in their battles. So that these same people, these Greeks back then, in the Syrian wars, were using our people to help them and aid them in their fight. There is no way that you're in between two Edomites and you don't get involved, especially when they control your land. Okay, so let's read through here, and we're going straight to Judea. Hellenistic, Seleucid, and Ptolemaic kingdoms that formed after Alexander's death were particularly relevant to history of Judaism, which we know Judaism ain't a thing. It's just the Israelite heritage. Located between the two kingdoms, Judea experienced long periods of warfare and instability. Fell under Seleucid control in 198 BC. By the time Antiochus IV Epiphanes became king of Judea, Jerusalem was already somewhat Hellenized. Both claimants to the high priest Jason and Menelaus bore Greek names. Jason had established institutions of Greek education. And now I want to hone in on this Hellenization. Now, you can read about Jason in 2nd Maccabees, the 4th chapter, how he did some underhanded tactics and pretty much paid to be the high priest. So that's who truly ruled not truly. Under our customs, the high priest was the ruler. But since we fell into the hands of our enemies for disobedience, you see it says that Antiochus was the king over in Judea. And he could replace or put anybody as the high priest that he wanted to. And that is due to the curses of our disobedience. And Jason became the high priest. Okay? Now, let's pull up right here. Before we do, let's finish reading. And later in Jewish culture, it says Jewish, but Israelite culture started to be suppressed, including forbidding circumcision and observance of the Sabbath. Now, if you read Exodus 31-14, it talks about how those who violate the Sabbath, should be put to death and should be cut off from their people. That is a very, very important thing to remember, because when you are talking about the heathen, the Gentile, not the heathen, when you're talking about the Gentiles, you have the natural Gentiles who are of the other nations, and then you have the Gentiles who were grafted in. And you cannot graft an orange and an olive, right? Those olive trees were the uncircumcised who, for lack of a better term, fell victim to the Hellenization under the Greek captivity, what you can only find in the Apocrypha. So it's very, very important to pay attention to these facts, and to link secular history with what the Bible is talking about. Not that you're mating anything with the Bible, but you can line these things up. Now, Greek education, Ephibos, or Ephibos, of a plural, okay. It's a Greek term for a male adolescent for social status reserved for the age. So what's the history of it? Let's see. Adolescence for young men. The training age is mainly used for the members exclusively from that age group of an official institution that sought to build them into citizens. Now, what do we have here? Assimilation. All right. Not only did that, but Jason also, I'm not sure if it was Jason the high priest, but there were what was that? Where it talked about them building gymnasiums. We need that. Gymnasium. KJV. Second Maccabees 4, where we had it. All right. So that was, you can also read that. So you go read that. I want to pull 1 Maccabees 14. Whereupon they built place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. So also go to this. 1 Maccabees 14. We're already there. Look at yonder. All right. So they devised them, do them well. Certain people were so forward hearing that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. Whereupon they built the place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen. All right. Look at that. So yes, you need to read through all of Maccabees, especially the first chapter. And then 1 Maccabees, the second chapter, talks about how Mattathias, who was a man in old age and renowned among the circumcision, those who stood firm, right? And that kind of was the offset or the kickoff of the Maccabean revolt, right? Because you had those of the circumcision who were standing firm for the laws of the Lord, going against the grain, basically. So you need to read all of that. It is a very, very important history that we cannot gloss over. So when Christians try to bring up the Gentiles and make that to heathen being grafted into this new covenant, you can combat that. You can make light work. Because if you want to stump a Christian, you need to go into prophecy, and you need to understand the history when the Bible talks about the things that it discusses. Okay, so you need to go 1 Maccabees in the 2nd chapter, 2nd Maccabees the 4th chapter. But really, you need to read all of it, 1st and 2nd. You know, set it up side by side where I think there's an online apocrypha, and you can read it in the GNT. But it is extremely important to understand this history. Oh, shit, where we go back? Okay. So, Ephibos curriculum. Let's do that. Curriculum. Now, during, oh damn, I can't spell. How about that? What we got here? Alphabets in ancient Greece, any male who had attained the age of puberty, all right, technical sense referring to a young man 18-20. All right, underwent 2 years of military training under the supervision of an elected Cosmides and Sophroniste. All right, a chastener. So they were. I need to look into that. We're going to do a part 2. At the end of the first year, each Ephibus received a sword and a shield from the state. Probably at this stage, he took an ephebic oath. And there's something about this devil. He always wants you to take an oath. I find it funny, right? Because they are the same ones that are here today. And there's always an oath. Now, equate that unto when the scriptures talk about how our people make covenants with the heathen, as we read in 1 Maccabees. What oaths did they take? How far, and that's a rhetorical question, how far and how deep into the Greek custom did they get? And that's something for you to look into. So now we fast forward into the Romans in the book of Matthew, when Yahushua went first to the circumcision, and then he seen these seemingly folks who were like heathen, but were actually Israelites by blood, only took on that Greekish fashion. So again, this is a very important history to incorporate into your studies and into your learning, so you can understand when you fast forward into the New Testament. Okay, so I definitely, through the Spirit, if the Lord allows, would like to do a part 2, and we're going to dive a little deeper. And I need to find some more information on however you say Ephibus or Ephibus. as well, and diving a little bit deeper into the Greek assimilation of our people. So with that being said, I pray that this short video was something that you can build on and dive into studying on your own. So with that being said, Shalom.